Source Nation. Join us now for Family Mix Mondays with licensed professional counselor Jaketra Bryant. Tune in as Jaketra shows the different dynamics that make up family. Whether you represent the nuclear family, single parent, extended, grandparent, or blended family, Jaketra has tips and advice designed to strengthen your family structure. Source Nation, here is your host, Jaketra Bryant.
Good evening, Source Nation. I am your host, Jaketra Bryant, and I want to welcome you to Family Mix Mondays. Tonight, I am super excited that we are ending our series of self-care for parents. This has been an eye-opening for me, and prayerfully it has been for you as the family listeners. I want to really just encourage people who have listened to Mocha Moms and have listened to our mental health professional to just know the importance of taking some time out, building that support group, and just understanding the necessity of what this does when we don't for our parenting. And I'm excited tonight. This is someone that I admire. This is someone that once I met him, I just knew that I had to have him a part of my show. I had to have him a part of my growth in life. And he is going to shine some light on our spiritual piece that is needed. Last week, our guest discussed that physical self-care is needed, mental self-care, and what some physiological signs are. And so she also mentioned, if you tuned in, that the spiritual part is needed, and that she speaks a lot with her clients about the necessity of having this portion when it comes to parenting, when it comes to growth in life. And I want my guest to really shine some light on what that means. He's been such an instrument to me when it comes to my spiritual growth and how that actually affects my parenting. I know some might be thinking, well, what does this have to do with any type of parenting? But it really does. Because sometimes the solutions are bigger than us. The support we need is more than our education, more than some tools like getting a massage. Sometimes we do need our spiritual part to help bridge this piece. And so I have Stephen Palmer who's going to join me, and he's written this awesome book called Don't Trust the Process, Trust the Purpose. And he's going to talk about that book and talk about the spiritual component when it comes to self-care and what that looks like. And I'm just really excited for him to join me. And before I jump into that series, I want to stop and thank my sponsors who have made this show possible. And they are Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Paper to Film Productions, Revolution Meals, and Renovations. And we're going to be continuing our series of self-care from parents, where we're going to take this from a perspective looking at the spiritual piece that is needed. So Source Nation, stay tuned, and after the break, we're going to have Pastor Stephen Palmer discussing his book, discussing what this looks like, and giving us some practical tools on what this process might look like with parents and self-care.
Source Nation, stay tuned. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays with your host, Jaketra Bryant.
Radio Network is just one of the many platforms that is used to fulfill dreams of our listeners and create a purpose that will impact the lives of our communities, cities, and the world. It is often said that great things will happen when a group of driven people work together to accomplish one goal. We're giving people the opportunity to have a voice, translate words that haven't been heard, and paint pictures that no one has seen. Source Radio Network is fueling your life's purpose. How can you listen? www.blogtalkradio.com/Source Radio.
All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Mama, you remember me when I was a baby, don't you, mama? Yeah, you're the one that lead up through labor, mama. Yeah, so you kept clothes on our back, oh, mama. True. And if we could give you the world we want, you like a flower in the motherland. You put the W in Walmart. You're powerful alone. Yes, you are. That's why I'm singing you this summer. The woman who birthed me, my one and only. Mama. You can make me mad, turn around and make me laugh. Talking about ain't no other woman can take your place on earth. I'm talking about mama. Keeping money ain't no problem, 'cause you make sure we ate.
Oh, we ain't good, man.
You always
Good
keep
song,
things
bro.
equal. Make sure your kids straight. Yeah. You know we feel it if you're hurting, mama.
We feel that, yeah.
'Cause
You
we
know?
a part of you. Yeah, mama. You're powerful alone.
You're so powerful.
That's why I'm singing you. I'm talking about mama. The woman who birthed me, my one and only. Talking about mama. You can make me mad, turn around and make me laugh. Talking about mama. Mama, ain't no other woman can take your place. I'm talking about mama.
Hey, yo, it's just facts, you know what I mean? Your mother is somebody that nobody can take the place of, you know? So you gotta cherish them, you feel me? And take give them the flowers while they here, right? So, mama, here go your flowers. Yeah.
I'm talking about mama. I'm talking about mama. You're the best thing that ever happened. I'm talking about mama. Mama. Ain't no other woman can take your place in the world. I'm talking about mama. The woman who birthed me, my one and only. Talking about mama. You can make me mad, turn around and make me laugh. Talking about mama. Ain't no other woman can take your place on earth. I'm talking about mama. You love you, mama. You know we gon' adore you. We can't really love you. Love you.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays with your host, Jaketra Bryant.
Welcome back, Source Nation. You're listening live to Family Mix Mondays, and the indie artist you just heard was Prince DJ Mama. He'll be in the studio at 2:15 Saturday with Destin Hicks, so be sure to tune in. And just stated earlier, I have a great guest who, one of my mentors, one of my admirers, who is going to end our series of self-care for parents, and it is Pastor Stephen Palmer. But before he joins me, I must tell you some great things that are about him and what he's doing. First, he's definitely the author of Don't Trust the Process, Trust the Purpose, and he's going to be talking about that later, so can't wait. He also is a graduate, top of his class, and the immigration enforcement agent, was later appointed Chief of Staff to Georgia's District 62. Most recently, Stephen served as a Special Projects Coordinator for Georgia's Criminal Justice Coordinating Council, where he founded and started a non-traditional biblical soiree called The Conversations. As ministers, Stephen believes that interpretation without application is an assassination on God's revelation. Believers should not be focused on more information, but the application of God's work in their respective homes, jobs, or wherever they have personal influence. He's also a brand new father to such an adorable little girl, and he resides in Atlanta area where he balances his time to teach, train, and minister countless people throughout the country while completing his 5th book. So I do believe we have my special guest in the studio. So hello, Stephen. Welcome to Family Mix Mondays. Thank you so much for being a part of this series.
No, hey, Jaketra, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here. Thanks, Source Radio Network and Family Mix Mondays, all the listeners. I really am excited to be here.
Yes, it's been such an awesome series for this month. And as you know, this month has been on self-care for parents. And one of the biggest components of self-care for myself has been my spiritual walk. And so I couldn't think of a better person than who's been a big part of that spiritual journey and just educated me on so many different parts and to have you on it. And so we're going to just kick it in and get started. But before we do all that, I have to stop and allow you to tell Source Nation about yourself, any new things you have going on, and just how can they just follow you and get involved with you.
Cool. Well, look, I was born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia. That means for some people, I need to say that I'm Southern, I'm not country. I'm a real native. I serve as the executive pastor of one of the greatest churches on the planet. That's Church of the Harvest, Fayetteville, with our senior pastors, Mark and Real Talk, Kim Pothier, where we love people back to life. I love my job. Yes, I'm in full-time ministry, but it doesn't even feel like ministry. It doesn't feel like work. It's just life for me. I'm a strategist as well. One of the things for strategy, I believe strategy without tactics is a sound before defeat. So for most of the time, what I do is I work with organizations and individuals to help them know God and fulfill their purpose by engaging them and empowering them and equipping them to have more, do more, and be more with what they already have. Then also, I'm an author. I've written several books. My first book was Stop, Continue, Start, A Guide to Self-Evaluation. Authored another book called The Pillars for Success, How to Turn Knowledge into Action and Action into Success. A daily devotional called Heroes. And my newest book, which I'm actually excited about, not just because it's new, but it's been a long process in developing this. It's called Don't Trust the Process, Trust the Purpose. And that's me. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to inspire people to know God, fulfill their purpose. And yes, self-care, not only for parents, just self-care for people and individuals, learning that it's important that we take care of ourselves before we take care of others, because we really can't take care of others without taking care of ourselves. So that's why I'm really on the show, and that's why I'm here, and that's what I love to do. This is life for me, as I said.
Yes, I'm so excited that you're here. And like I said, Source Nation, this has been, he has been such a great part in my growth ever since I've met him. And I wanted to make sure that we didn't focus so much on that one part of our lives is needed. Okay, once I have this mental health counselor, then I'm good. Or once I went and got this massage, I'm good. Or once I go for this walk, then I'm good. That all these particular parts actually need to work together, our mind, our body, and our spirit. And so one without the other is still off balance. And so I was listening to, the other night, Pastor, you may get me on this one, but the other night I was talking to him, and he made a comment about Christian. My son, everybody know Christian because he comes up on every show. He comes about Christian. With just I wouldn't have taken him for a kid that gave you trouble. And I was like, oh, man. And so I almost had a flashback in the office talking to him because Christian, oh, my goodness, we all know, gave me lots and lots of problems for 3 years. I questioned so much about parenting and everything. But I can actually honestly say my part that actually centered me back was my spiritual component. That process that I went through helped me to see how strong I am as a mother and what my walk with God really meant and what he wanted me to do with that. And so, Pastor Stephen, I wanted you to talk about when people are going through challenges with their kids or with their teens and God begins to kind of take them through a step in life or process, if you will, that's necessary. when they so how, like, what would this look like, and kind of, I guess, how could they know that this is a moment that God is saying, hey, I need you to pay more attention to me for your self-care?
Yeah, great question. When you talk about that and talk about raising children, most people quote Proverbs 22, right? Train up a child in the way he should go. When they're old, they will not depart from it. But I kind of couple that with Psalms 119, verse 71. It's good that I've been afflicted that I may learn. And we know as parents that children do not come with manuals. I wish they did. When my daughter was born, I wish when my wife pushed her out that a manual came and said she's going to do this at age 2, she's going to do this at age 3, she's going to do this at age 15 so we can be prepared for it. However, that's not what takes place. As we go through life, our goal and what God's goal is for us is to grow through life. So we experience different things. That's the process. And what happens is most people are focusing on the immediate, or they're focusing on the process, and they forget the purpose. And purpose is the key. It's the why. Why are we going through this? Because God is taking some things out of them, and He's requiring you to put some things in them, some new lessons, some new disciplines that they've never known, some knots that you have, that we have as parents, that we learned back at their age. We're supposed to instill it in them so they'll have an advantage. But oftentimes what happens is we'll get frustrated, we'll grow weary, we'll get upset, and sometimes we just kind of throw our hands up. And I've been there. I mean, the crying baby and doing all this, like, oh my gosh, Lord, are you serious? What did I do to deserve this? And you were bad this, or you're just reaping from what you had before. No, that's not the case. God is really taking you through a process, but He wants to get this purpose. He wants to surround you with a purpose of understanding that, hey, in order to get to this goal where this child is operating the way they need to operate, where they have more, they do more, they be more. They're not only productive citizens in society, but their life is whole, like your life should be, with their faith, their family, their finance, their fitness, their future, their fun, all that is intact. It requires this process, but don't get caught in the process. Get caught or focus on the purpose, because the purpose is what does not change. All things are going to work together for your good if you don't quit, if you don't give up, if you don't stop. And that's what we have to focus on, not just the fact that we're dealing with something, but focus on, why am I dealing with this, and how can I grow in this tough time, or this turmoil, or this headache that I'm going through at this moment.
That's good. As you were talking, I was thinking, like, I remember even in my stage as a parent, and I can just imagine some parents having their hands on their hips being like, well, what does my child misbehaving in school got to do anything with a process that God is taking through?
It has a lot to do with it. I'm telling you. See, the prerequisite for promotion, advancement, improvement, and success in our life, I don't care what it is, whether you're a parent, whether you're in business, whatever, everything in life requires a process. And God takes us through process not to cause agony or cause frustration, but He causes us to grow. Think about it. There's things that we've been taught, or habits, bad habits that we even have as parents, or even have as individuals that we have, that we've grown up thinking it's okay to live this way. And because we have these skewed perception, or these habits that may not be the best habits, they cause our life to live, but it calls us to live our life below our potential, below where God wants us to go and how He wants us to grow. And so what He does, in order to shake those things up, in order to reveal those things, He has to bring trouble. He has to bring turmoil. He has to bring chaos. Because the only way we can really determine who you really are is who you are when you go through trouble. What comes out when you are pressured, when you are dealing with frustration, when you're dealing with turmoil and all these different things that are just agonizing. I remember, and I'm thinking now with my daughter, I have my daughter, she's 2 months old, and she was just crying, specifically actually last night, just crying. And my wife and I were, my wife's been with her all day, and it was like kind of frustrating. It's like, okay, I know you're not hungry. I know you don't need to be changed. I know that you're not sleepy. What is going on? And I remember sitting on the couch looking like, Lord, what is the real deal? And He says, I remember the Lord telling me, you're getting patience. You're learning patience. I'm like, I thought He already knew patience. He says, no, I'm teaching you some different patience. Some patience, even in the midst of the crying, even in the midst of not understanding. I'm teaching you to have patience in what I'm doing, but then also patience with people. And I was like, oh gosh, oh Lord. learning patience with people, learning patience. And we learn that with our children and our spouses. So this has a lot to do with our development, not only our development as a parent, but also for the children. Because for us, we can lose sight of thinking that it's just about them, getting them right. But it's like, no, I'm still working on you in the process. I'm still working on all things concerning you. Remember Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and called according to his purpose. All things. That means you, your children, your situation, your circumstances, even the people around you. Everything has an integral part. I put something in the book. One of the key principles I pull out in the first chapter you're going to see, and I'll just give you this tidbit. It says, be intentional. Be intentional. Everything you do matters, and everything that matters you need to do. Everything you do matters, and everything that matters you need to do. And that's a principle that we've got to take. Okay, this part in my life matters. This moment in my life matters. I know it's frustrating again. I know it's tiresome. I know it's not easy to deal with, but it matters because God is developing me. He's developing them, and he's working on the situation all at the same time. And only God can do it, not you by yourself. But he does require your help and requires you to go through it, to keep moving, to keep pressing, and don't allow yourself to quit or give up. Because the moment you quit is the moment you fail.
That's good. I have so many thoughts just going through my head. But
Come on.
I know, it's so good. The first comment that wants to come out of my mouth is, ouch. Man, this doesn't feel good, right? Like this process just doesn't feel good. Like it hurts. It's uncomfortable. It makes you question yourself. It makes you question God. It makes you question being a mom. And I'm speaking by myself all the way. It makes you question things, and it does. It makes you really want to go to a place of giving up because it's hard to see the purpose when you're going through this process because it's uncomfortable.
I think that when you talk about those challenges, I think people don't like going through the process, no matter what it is. And process, by no means, is not a cliche. I know people say it all the time, but it's not something that we should just overlook or it should be overstated. I know it's overstated, but we shouldn't overlook it because, again, process by definition is a series of steps in order to achieve a particular end. And in essence, the process is the vehicle. As I told you before, it's not what we should focus on. Vehicles can change. It's the purpose that we need to focus on. Purpose is a predetermined intent with an outcome and or destiny. So it's just something that is already predetermined before us. And every purpose requires a process, and every process requires purpose. So when you think about that, no matter what I'm experiencing, no matter what I'm going through in life, I'm going to have to go through process. That can kind of ease the pain or the tension that you may feel. But most people don't like process, and they say ouch because, one, they don't know that they're in a process. Two, they may not know what to do in the process. Or three, they grow tired and weary in the process. And every process has four things that every person, no matter who you are, your ethnicity, your economic status, has to go through. And these four things that are tied to process is time, ability, assignment, and choice. With the time, that means there's a lot of time for this process. There's a lot of time for this course. There is. So we can't rush time. People say, well, we need to manage our time. I'll be honest with you. That may be another subject for another day. I don't believe in time management anymore. I used to teach time management, but I do not believe it anymore. I've got a newfound understanding. I cannot manage time. Time is going to continue to tick and move, regardless if I try to manage it or not. But I can manage my activities. And this is where the ability comes in, because I got a skill set. There's something that I need to do in this process. But not only something I need to do, what I need to do needs to be lined up to my assignment. What is my purpose for what am I doing? As a parent, I need to train up a child in the way they should go. I need to give them the advantage. I need to have it where they're able to, again, have more, do more, be more, where their life is intact. They're a whole person. It doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Wholeness doesn't mean perfect, but it does mean that they have everything they need and everything it takes to succeed, and they acknowledge it. And lastly, at the time, at the ability and assignment, there's that choice. And this is the only thing that truly belongs to me, because I couldn't choose the amount of time that I'm going to go through a process or my time in life. I don't necessarily choose my ability. I do choose my skill set, but I've got to master it. I don't necessarily choose my assignment, because you become a parent. Not all parents say, I want to be a parent, but there's an assignment that you have. It's part of the genetic makeup in being parents. That's just something you've got to raise this child. Unfortunately, in our society, we're not going to go there, but some people don't do that. They don't take the full responsibility to do that. But again, coming down to choice, it's how am I, one, reacting to this time that I've been given? Am I making the most of it? 2, am I using my ability? Because I have a choice whether or not to use it. 3, am I fulfilling my assignment? Am I really understanding this is my purpose? This is what I'm supposed to do? All this boils down to a choice. And your choice, believe it or not, here's some psychology and some counseling you can. A choice is the only place where your past, your present, and your future meet. Because we make choices in the present based on our past experiences. And the choices we make in the present ultimately affect our future. So at the moment of your choice, guess what? Everything you do matters. And everything that matters you need to do. That choice, what you do in those moments, of those frustrating moments, what you do in those going through this process, plays an intricate role on what happens in the next day, the next phase, and think about it for the next generation pertaining to our children.
That's good. I'm so glad you broke it down. I'm definitely, before we leave out of here, I want you to break down some practical ways, but not too much because we need them buying this book. So, definitely, I got to give them a little. We're going to give them enough to make them hungry. Make them crave it.
Yes, ma'am.
But I was thinking, like, as you were saying about this whole person just kept coming to my spirit. And so as you were saying this, I just kept thinking of, like, this saying that one of my clients came into the office. Sometimes I love God because God is so funny. Sometimes my clients, they teach me that day a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote it down, and she said it, like, months ago. And she said, it's not going to look like how we think it's going to look. And so that happened to me with parenting. Here I am, this licensed professional counselor. I give all these people all this great advice. They follow it. The kids are great. Life is great. Relationships are great. And then I got the cut-up kid. And so I really was just like, wait a minute. What is this all about? And so how would you speak to that when the situation that God is putting in front of us is just not even looking like what he's saying is a part of this purpose or this promise that he's saying, and we're in the midst of this process?
Man, do you know that is probably one of the hardest things when that your present does not look like the promise. It doesn't look like what you perceive or what you expected. And what I would say to that is you have the opportunity, we each have an opportunity to be partners with God. And what I mean by that is I think about Luke 6:38. Most people use this for when they talk about tithing and offerings. It says, "Give and it shall be given back to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over shall man pour into your bosom." Now, if I break this thing down, if you think about it, yeah, that requires I've got to do something. I have to give something up. It requires sacrifice. So in the moment when things don't look right, I've got to sacrifice some things. Okay, Lord, what are you? These are maturing as parents and even just as individuals. When we're dealing with our children, we have to realize we have to have real self-analysis. We've got to have conversation with ourselves sometimes, especially you by yourself. It's like, okay, Lord, am I looking at this the right way? What do I need to give right now? What do I need to give them? What do I need to give? Do I need to give them a lecture? Do I need to give them some discipline? Do I need to give them some prayer? What do I need to give this moment? And it says, it will be given back to me. So there's something that's reciprocated. You reap what you sow. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together. So all this good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, that looks crazy because you're talking about there's pressure there, there's some shaking going on there, but then all of a sudden, after all that turmoil, there's some things that are running over. What I've deposited, what I've given, what I've prayed on, what I've focused on, all that is going to boil over. And then here's the stickler. Shall men pour into your bosom? You say, what's so significant about that pertaining to looking at our situation? What's so significant about that is it tells me that God uses a two-legged human being to help you out. Like this show, like we're coming on this show, there purposely God will hide things. He will hide things not from you, but for you, so you can go search it out. It's the glory of God to conceal it out, and the glory of King to search it out. Why? Because he wants you to connect with somebody else. Like for you, for example, Jaketra, there's people, I know we talk about, there's people in your life that you watch and you inspire and you talk to, And they give them pointers, but at the same time, they're giving you pointers pertaining to your child, pertaining to your life, and things that you need to adjust or to fix, or that you can do to cause this situation and look more like the promise God has called it to be. And that, again, goes to that process. It's not always easy. When it doesn't look like that, we still have to focus, again, on the purpose. What is it supposed to look like? And it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Remember, time is part of it. Let patience have a perfect work that you may be found perfect, complete, lacking in nothing. This is an opportunity where you see the situation where it is now, but you need to focus on where it's going. And it's not to say you neglect the present, but you remember everything I'm experiencing and the things that I need to give in this, the things I'm going to have to go through, the pressing down, the shaking together. It's going to eventually run over. It's going to bring about a good return. It's going to bring about something I need. And then at the same time, who are those people that who I can connect with, or maybe connect my children with, that can help in this situation to help bring about or cause us to move through this process so it looks like the very promise and the very dream or the purpose or goal that we have in it already.
I like what you said, and I couldn't help but to go back to our very first few minutes of our conversation about being intentional.
Mm-hmm.
Because the whole time we were talking, everything about that said that I got to be intentional. I got to be doing something too, and my part that I have to do is definitely my choice of it, but be intentional that I want this relationship with my child to get better. I want this relationship with my spouse to get better. I want these particular things that God is saying that I am due to, but I have to be intentional. And so I want to be able to give some of our Source Nation family a way that they can call in. I just realized the conversation was so good, I forgot to even say that part. But the Source Nation, if you want to call and be a part of this conversation, the number to dial in is 619-924-0933. And you're listening to Pastor Stephen Palmer, one of my favorite new people. And so I definitely want you to be a part. 619-924-0933 and press option 1. And feel free to ask any type of questions. We'll be glad to take it. And so I want to give some of the parents who are listening saying, that sounds real good. And so you can tell I have a lot of clients because I can play all their roles.
Come on.
So that sounds real good. But what does this look like in real life? What does this look like? Okay, I get it. My kid is going through these things, and I'm tired. I'm working 2 or 3 jobs. I'm coming to church, and I'm doing these things, and so I'm tired. All I know is I feel tired. And so, what does this look like in practical terms for those parents who are tired, who know that, maybe they're in the process. They kind of have some kind of inkling that something's up. What does that look like for them when it comes to, surrendering this time to God?
Right. He said, come to me if you heavy burden, heavy laden, and I'll give you rest. Just to give you some practical, just applications here. If you find yourself tired, one, I always go to the physical because we're tripartite. We are body, that's our flesh. We're spirit, that's what we live on, and we're soul, that's our mind, our will, and our emotions. Usually if our mind, our will, and our emotions are tired, if we're internally tired, automatically our body is going to get tired. And if our body's tired, usually it does affect our mind, our will, and our emotions. So one of the things that I do for myself when I find myself getting tired, especially when I'm dealing with my children or dealing with my child, and especially in a single parent home, I know it's a lot easier. Thank God for my wife. I mean, it's a team effort here. But that's why you have to find a team. I find people. I call the 5 T's of progress. Because you don't just go through a process. You're supposed to progress through a process. The first T is you've got to have a team. And these are people that you need to be surrounded with. They may be your friends, they may be your family, they may be people at your church. And when I say team, I'm not just talking about, these my hangout girlfriends or these my bros, I can just go hang out. No. These are individuals that help refuel you. When you're empty, they can fill you back up. They can step in like you, and some of them you trust them with your children. I remember with my wife and I, there's particular people that we trust with our children. I mean, when we went on our first date, and like I said, my daughter's 2 months old, I thought my wife would be the one that's like, oh, no, if she can't go back, I'm the one that's picking. I'm like, okay, do you have this at your house? And you have this? Okay, Are you certified as CPR? I'm asking all the questions, and I trust this person. I trust this person with my life. I trust this person even with my daughter. However, I still was asking those questions. So when I say team, I'm talking about people that you genuinely trust, that you could trust your life with, that you could trust your secrets with. And having that team, because iron sharpens iron. You need people in your life that can sharpen you, people that can cover you, people that can help you step in the gap when you are tired and you can't fight for the moment. Because we get those moments. We get those moments. Let's just be real. I don't care how spiritually saved you are. If you're a Superman in the faith, I don't care. I'm a pastor. I get tired. There's times I have to get away. So I had that team. I have people I go and they refuel me. And then the second thing, number two of progress, I take time. I take time to rest. Again, I gotta have that team first. Cause like my wife, I had her step in, and I went and took a sabbatical. I went and took a couple of days, and I went away to this monastery. I went away because I found myself growing tired. I found myself growing weird. I was doing too much. I was doing so much. So much was happening. I had a team. I had time. I took some time away, and then I also I need to say this, Club. Time does not bring about change. I'm going to plug this. Time plus conscious decision times action equals change. Let me say that again. Time plus conscious decision. You got to use, yes, don't take time, but you need to make a conscious decision that you want to change. Then you multiply that with action. You got to put some action to it. Yeah, I need to take a break. Don't just say you need to take a break. Okay, set aside the time. Remember, you don't manage time, you manage activity. So, okay, I'm putting this in my calendar. I'm going to go away for this while. I made a conscious decision. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go away. Now I'm going to take the necessary action. Hey, I need a babysitter. I need to go ahead and plan. I need to make the deposit. And then that's what brings about change. So I had that team. I had that time. Then there's trust. I'm going to trust first in God, that God is going to work these things out. The Lord, Psalms 138, verse 8, the Lord will perfect that which concerns me. I'm allowing God to work everything out. 2, I'm trusting what He's deposited in me. Okay, you deposit something in me. A lot of us are a lot smarter than we don't give ourselves credit enough for. We are a lot smarter than we are. You've experienced a lot of stuff. I don't care if you've made a million mistakes in your life. Now you know what not to do. So we're a lot smarter than what we are. So you need to learn to trust yourself. And then 3, trust that team. Trust the people that's in your corner. And then I liked it. I'm going to save the other 2 for later. But if you focus on team, time, and trust, those things will help you when you're tired. And you do those things. You practically get yourself away. Connect yourself with people that pour into you, that edify you, that encourage you. Again, learn to trust what God is doing. When you focus on those things, again, not the process you're going through, but the purpose and the people that He's surrounding you with to help you fulfill your purpose, that's when you'll find yourself getting that energy. That's when you find yourself being renewed. That's when you find yourself taking off the burdens, because you can do anything, but you're not called to do everything. And you've got to allow God to do His part, because He's the one that's perfecting that which concerns you.
That's oh my goodness. Sometimes I feel like I don't have any other words. I'm like, that's good.
You're so modest, man. You're awesome, man.
Right, I am. I always tell people, like, I don't know what a counselor looks like. This is what I do. This is all kind of things. So I don't really know what they look like. This is what God keeps making me do.
Isn't that a beautiful thing, though? You thinking about you and Christian. You don't look like you went through anything. That's why I was surprised in my office. You don't look like what God brought you through, and that's why you wear it. If you have been broken, and I know you have, you wear it so well. And I think that's what's beneficial for myself, seeing you grow, and then for your listeners, because you have experiences and you have moments that you come out and you're like gold. It's like, dang, girl, for real? You? I don't believe that. I would have to see this, So I appreciate that. I appreciate that in you.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah. I remember there were moments. I was just like, God, wait. Well, okay. So I know I made the decision to, with my sex part, but are you sure? Are you sure? Because his mom here. We had some conversations. You and I had some talks. But I will say, once I did shift my mindset to saying, like, to all the things that you're saying, it literally was a mindset shift. I was like, okay, clearly I can't stop this from happening. Like, no matter what skill I put in it, no matter, like, how many flushes I have, no matter how many spankings, whatever, I can't stop this. And that reminds me of your part about time. It was going to happen. And once I shifted my mindset to start asking those right questions about, like how you mentioned, what do you want me to give in this? God literally gave me answers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here you go. This is what I need you to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost as if things start switching. People start positioning themselves. It was so interesting. Not interesting. It was like, it was God saying, I was like, I've been waiting on you to ask these right questions. But you've been on your little pity party and your little emotional moment that you stopped seeking me. And so he has to sit me down. But it was a growth process because I'm real with my testimonies. I am so real with the process of, yes, even me, the clinician, even me. I'm so real with my process with it. And I think that's what we need in the world. That's a whole nother segment, too.
Yeah, you're right. You can go there.
Yeah. And so, but I want the Source Nation, like family members, like the parents to really see that this is not an easy process. But also, for those of you who have not seen COTH, That Life, like our films on, our Wednesday nights, Pastor Stephen is awesome for his illustrations. Pastor Stephen did the most, like, I don't know where he pulls his stuff from. It's amazing. But he did Mind, Body, Spirit. Do you remember that one?
Mind, body, spirit. Yes, ma'am, I do.
Yes. Okay. So I think that is an excellent connection between what this looks like for self-care. Not kind of how you put it, but I'm sure you're gonna find some way into this conversation with it. We're just bringing it together. But I think of it in the terms of that when it comes to our body only being able to do so much and giving us signals, and then the mind part, which I play a huge role in it with the mental health piece, and then that spiritual component, where all those three things definitely have to work together in order for self-care to take its place. And so our last few minutes, like, I really want you to be able to tell them how all this ties in. I just don't want – one thing about my show is I don't like excuses. I like to take every single excuse away from everybody because now I've touched on every single area. I talked on the mind, the spirit, the body, every part. So you can't say, oh, he didn't talk about this for me. So how does all this really relate when it comes to self-care with having the mindset, the body being necessary and a temple and a necessity, and having a spiritual component when it comes to parenting and this process?
Yeah. So when you talk about mind, body, and spirit, I look at it like this: all growth and all success, all happiness, all joy is intentional, and it is a byproduct of God's process. If we're willing to stay in order to help Him mature us and grow us, we'll find ourselves coming into the full image and character of Jesus Christ, just period, point blank. And the first thing we'll be focused on, because what we usually see is our body. It's important that your body gets rest. It is. Inevitably, just statistically speaking, 1 out of every 1 person is going to die. So the time is ticking against your body. But it's what are you putting on it, what are you putting in it, what you are doing in this process is important physically, because you need to be able to be out with your children. You need to be able to spend time with them. You need to be able to do things with them, because believe it or not, they hear me clearly, they hear what you do more than what you say. They hear what you do. So they're watching you. And how are you handling your body? How are you handling this temple that God has given you? That's the first component. The second component, when you talk about your mind, this is your will, your emotions. Are you mature in that area? What is your thinking, as you just said? What is your perspective? As a man or woman thinks in her heart, so she is. Are you thinking that you would not be able to handle this, that you'll never be able to get through this? If you do, trust and believe that you just halted the process, that you've halted yourself, that you've got yourself stuck there, because if that's your mindset, that's your mentality, whatever you focus on, whatever you think on, expands in your life, and it finds its way outside into the external. So you begin to see, you just see more trouble. I dislike it, to be honest with you, when I hear people say, dang, I just got a bad kid. Now, he's just a bad boy. He ain't going to never learn. They ain't going to never learn. When you say that, especially you're saying this out loud, that's your mindset, but then you're saying it out loud. Now what you've done is you just created this, a word first, but you've just created this, I guess, this telltale script for your child to live out, because that's how you feel. So in their mind, they're like, well, I might as well not, because he already think that's the way I am. So what you're thinking is very important, because what you're thinking is ultimately played out in how you live. And that's what's seen in your body. Again, children they don't listen to what you say, they listen to what you do. And then the spirit part, that is the part that's going to live on. That's the part that is going to stand before judgment. And this is the part that gives us strength. Though our body and our flesh it decays daily, but our spirit man is renewed day by day. So we've got to feel that spirit. That is where I really have peace. And peace is not the absence of trouble, but it's the acknowledgement of God that, hey, you got this. You're in control. So all of this fits into one compartment. You're comprised of all three of those areas. That's why it's important to have not only that you have management, but you need to have balance in those areas and understand that everything starts from the inside out. Growth is intentional, and it starts from the inside out. So the first thing that you need to change, and which is part of the heart, is your mindset. And the way you change that mindset, believe it or not, is by feeding that spirit person, that spirit man, that spirit woman who, with the word of God, because it's life. You feed it. You feed yourself spiritually, because what happens when your flesh is weak and your mind and emotions are unwilling, your spirit begins to rise up. You've seen those stories of mothers who their child have been stuck under the car, and they're like, okay, they don't know what to do, but all of a sudden they get this strength. They get this, though they don't know what to do, they're frustrated. All of a sudden they get this strength welled up in them. And in their body, the external has to react to what's going on internal. It's like, no, I'm going to lift this car, whatever it takes. So those are examples of how we as parents and individuals, when we're raising children and we're caring for children, that our mind, our body, and our spirit is very important. All these things work together. If one is not working, it eventually will affect the other. If this other, you can have two of these areas, your mind and your body working together, but your spirit dying. And you would eventually find that your whole body and your mind, it becomes weary, it gets tired, because your spirit person is dead. It doesn't have that extra energy, that extra boost, that life source that was made first. Not to get real deep with you, but the spirit man was made first. It doesn't have that to really boost you up. And if your spirit man is strong, but your spirit man and your mind is strong and your body is weak, you can have all the willpower and all the energy, but your body will not function properly because you haven't fed it properly. You haven't taken care of it. So all these things, all three of these components of yourself, which you're made of, is very important. You've got to have these things intact. And when you don't, they not only affect your life, but they affect your children's life and all those people around you.
Mm-hmm. Those are excellent points. And I want to make sure that they have an opportunity to grab your book when it comes out. And also I wanted to point out what really kept hitting me was, even in a notion of it's not going to look like what we think it's going to look. Even when I think even conversations like this and people tuning in weekly, or people going to Bible study or reading a book or just whatever it is to really refuel and feed yourself. One of my prayers that I pray every day is, because I have been very, very tired lately and I'm not listening to my physical body, is I ask God to fuel me up and refill me up. Mm-hmm. And so I often am asking him, God, I need to be recharged, but I also need you to fill me up with more of you and more of your Holy Spirit, because I'm in my time at this point. When I'm in my time, then now I'm having to pray for you to refuel me up. But I also need you to refill me up so less of me can be here. And so that's self-care for me. And so I wanted to really point out that sometimes it's not these haha moments and all this kind of stuff. Like, it can be morning routines of reading your Bible and attending Bible study and talking to those accountability friends and that team that you mentioned, and really just having that as this self-care moment, spiritually, mentally, physically, all that. But, Pastor Stephen, I want you to talk about your book, because I definitely want them to go get it. And so when will it be released, and how can they kind of stay in touch with you so they can make sure they're a part of this and all the other new things that God is just opening in your direction?
Awesome. Well, it's you can pre-order the copies now. It's going to drop in January. We haven't set an actual date, but it's dropping January. And the reason it's taking so long because I want to make sure that it's applicable, not just another book that you read. I wrote this book as an inspirational tool that a person can use to quickly apply to their life. I know that we can get tired and frustrated because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in our present that doesn't look like, our promise. So I wrote this book to encourage everyone that God does not delay, he prepares. Even when it comes to our children, when it comes to our goals, when it comes to our dreams, whatever it is, God is using this process to help develop us and elevate us to not only seize the things that we're looking for, but become the very things that we're needed in order to fulfill his purpose. So you can grab a copy. You can grab a copy when it comes out in January, but you can pre-order. I would suggest pre-ordering because I'm working on some things to do some promotions for those who pre-order. Maybe doing like a little notebook with it, and we're having a book club that's going to start, and we're going to have a lunch party. So we got some good people that are going to be at that lunch party. For those who pre-order, you'll be invited to that lunch party. And the way you could do that is you can go to my website right now, because we just have it there, not on the Amazon and Google yet. But on the website, my website is www.jstephenpalmer.com. That's www.jstephen Palmer, PALMER.com. You'll see at the top a link that says pre-order your copy today. Click that link, click the book, and I encourage you again to go pre-order it. Tell it, share it, let your friends know. And if we can stay connected, I love social media. It's called social media on purpose. So we can socially engage. I can answer questions, stay connected with you. My website, again, is www.jstephenpalmer.com. At the bottom, you'll see all my social media. But for Facebook, if you don't want to go to the website, but I encourage you to, and Facebook is at @JStephenPalmer. That's JSTEPHEN Palmer, PALMER. Instagram is J.Stephen Palmer. My YouTube, all you got to do is type in info@jstephenpalmer.com, and you'll see all our videos and messages and different encouraging things to help you to not stop in the middle process, but progress, to fulfill your purpose here on earth.
I love it. This has been such an inspirational conversation. I can't tell you, like, if you had the camera on me, I was in there taking notes. I was like, man, I got to do all this and take notes. I'm looking at my life like, man, okay, all right. I probably need to go back and say some of this first. And I probably need to go do this today. But it's all about growth. And the growth is uncomfortable, but it's so necessary. And so I appreciate it, and that's why, like, I had to have you a part of it and fitting you in here. And I can definitely see other areas to intertwine this because, like I said this before, my spiritual component, it is my main reason for still going and still growing. And so I can't pretend it's been, so many of the other parts, but it's been who God blesses me with along the way. And so definitely thank you for being a part of it. And I need to pre-order the book. I feel like I get, like, cheat sessions because I'm there every Wednesday.
No, Jaketra, it's been a pleasure. The pleasure's all mine. You need me, text me, call me. I'm excited, and that goes for your listeners too, man. I love what God is doing in you, to you, and through you, and the lives that you're impacting. Just to be a part of that is amazing. And to be a part of the same family, so we're part of the same family. So, yeah, that's what's up.
Yeah, so thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Source Nation, it has been a pleasure this month doing the series of self-care for parents. And I guarantee you probably didn't think it was going to go in a direction with a bang like Pastor Stephen Palmer just gave us. And I just want to encourage everyone to take a look at their psychological, their mental, as well as the emotional and spiritual parts of their lives, and understand that mind, body, and spirit all go together and what this looks like for being whole for our children and what the effects can be if any of those areas are off. Don't be afraid to reach out to mental health professionals like my guest, or pastors like my guest, or organizations like Mocha Mom that can really give you that community and that support. One thing that Pastor Stephen pointed out was that team being necessary. Having accountability will actually help increase your likelihood of personal growth The company you keep makes a huge difference. And I want to invite everyone to reach out and find at least 3 strong people to be a part of their team today that can actually build you up, have that accountability, and help in this growth and this process that is happening so that you can be whole, you can have that purpose and that promise that's associated, so we can build up more children, more families that are for the kingdom and that are indeed for bettering our communities. And so I want to encourage you to reach out to each and every last one of my guests who gave their numbers, buy the books, check out their latest that they are doing, and really get involved with them. If you are in Atlanta, definitely check out Pastor Stephen Palmer as well as the Mocha Moms organization and find your local one. Our mental health professional, she lives in North Carolina, so don't be afraid to look her up, and she offers some great Skype telemental health services, so you really don't have an excuse. And so, as always, I want to provide my information to be reached out to answer any questions and be a support for you. And I can be found at jabryant1913@gmail.com, my website, www.b3mentalperformances.com, and follow me on Twitter at Jaketra B. And before I head out, I want to stop and thank our sponsors, and they are Zulina Health, Wellness, and Fitness, Papers to Film Productions, Revolution Meals, and Renovations. And I want you to tune back in next month as I start a new series of engaging our mothers into parenting. And so I'm Jaketra Bryant, your host of Family Mix Mondays. I'll see you next week.